If you stand really still, they can't tell we're live. So here we are. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, Ronnie.
Dr. Nate.
That's me.
I'm so excited to have you here.
This is fun for me.
Yeah, I'm glad. So welcome anybody that's watching. And we are starting the Hard-Earned Knowledge podcast. I'm Ronnie Haskins. This is Dr. Nate Henry. Nate Henry is actually in my Business Networking International group, BNI group. So we meet weekly. And this is a great opportunity for us to sit down and get to know each other a little bit better and talk to this guy about his entrepreneurial journey, which is amazing. I've had some amazing people on lately. Martha Neitz is another BNI lady.
Okay.
The owner of Dr. Soot. They do their chimney sweeps.
Yeah.
But the lady's been in business like 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how much she has forgotten that we're still learning.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about you because of your history. Let me go to your website here. You did how many years? 20-year veteran of the U.S. Army.
22.
22 years.
And a month.
And you just retired like last year.
Just a few months ago.
Let me read the rest of this. Has a passion for maintaining an individual's body, help them get better at physical activity. You treated American and international soldiers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And from basic trainees to cadets to elite rangers and special forces soldiers.
Yeah.
You deliver injury prevention, human performance optimization, holistic rehabilitation. Anybody who wants to achieve their full physical potential, including myself, I'm going to talk to him about some of this other stuff later, but let me continue here. Yeah. Nate is a well-known speaker and educator. He teaches continuing education and university courses monthly, and he's published several peer-reviewed articles. He and his wife, Jill, hold CrossFit Level 1 and Level 2 trainer certificates, CrossFit movement and mobility trainer certificates, POSE, P-O-S-E, which is an acronym we'll get into in a minute, POSE running method certificates, and he's active in the Colorado Springs fitness and outdoor recreation community. Now, here's the kicker. With his 5 kids and son-in-law, like, after I read that, I'm like, man, I'm not doing anything. I'm just sleeping all day and not doing nothing.
So I got to tell you, I was teaching a course one time. I teach around 30 physical therapists a month throughout the country, different places. One student came up to me on a break, and she was probably in her 40s, and she said, "Yeah, I was reading through your bio, and I was sitting here feeling bad about myself. But then I said to myself, well, he's probably just single or maybe even divorced, and just he's got time for this kind of thing." And she's like, and then I read at the end, you've got these 5 kids. So this is just ridiculous. And here's the deal. All of us, if we put up all of our accomplishments and list them out one by one, because that's what a CV is or a resume is, is all the great stuff you've done, we can sound pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a matter of doing a little bit of good each day that makes a difference. We're going to make tons of mistakes too, but that's what puts together a satisfying and happy life.
Nice.
A little bit of good each day.
A little bit of good each day.
Yeah.
That's great. I like these nuggets. So the whole course of this podcast, guys, is to learn something from Dr. Nate today. It's not all about physical therapy. It's about his entrepreneurial journey. We'll get into some of the physical therapy, and we'll try to we'll post in the comments all of his contact info. He's in the Colorado Springs area. So if you're looking for physical therapy, this is going to be a guy that you should reach out to and talk to. So now we're going to go through a series of questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then we're going to talk about Nate's journey.
Yeah.
Let's just start. It's not on the list here, but let's start with this 20 years in the military. How did that all start and wrap up?
So I started off in the military. I did ROTC in college, and so graduated, went straight in as they call a logistics officer, quartermaster. And so I ran food and water and supplies for multiple units. And actually, I deployed to Iraq in 2003. And if you were in Iraq from 2003 and 2004, and you drank some water or you ate some food, I or my guys probably handled that stuff. So we managed the food and water for about 25,000 soldiers in Baghdad during that year.
That's cool. Rope use and all of that stuff.
We had rope use. We had warehouses. That's what we did. And the lines of battle these days are just not linear like they were before. It used to be your food and water and all that stuff was way in the back. And nowadays, where you just have a unit that's kind of a pocket here and a unit that's kind of a pocket over here. Now, as you run those distribution lines, you're far more exposed, and it's a much bigger deal. So
So the military's changed, is what you're saying. The
it's
way they run it.
changed, yeah. And then keep in mind, this was 20 years ago when I was doing this, so it's changed even until today.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got back from Iraq, ran the logistics for a special forces group back in 2005 to 2007, and had about all the fun that I was going to have in that job. So I decided to look at some of the other things that the Army offers, and found over here in this little corner a physical therapy program, which
Really?
we do a terrible job of advertising in the military. But as I looked further into it, I was like, wow, this is actually a top 5 rated program in the country.
Really?
So I applied, and I had to do 2 years of night school to get my prerequisites, because my undergraduate was like a psychology degree.
Okay.
And so did those prerequisites, night school, wife at home with 3 kids at the time.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, I got into that program when I applied.
Okay.
And so I went there 2007 to 2010, and spent the last 13 years of my career as an Army physical therapist.
Wow.
And that's where I got exposure to another special forces group, the soldiers there. I spent time with some basic trainees at Fort Benning in Georgia. I went up to West Point in New York and spent time with the cadets up there.
Mm-hmm.
And my last duty station was here at Fort Carson, and I was the division physical therapist. So kind of the top dog on the operational side.
You headed it up. Everybody reported to you.
Well, you say everybody, but it was like 4 other physical therapists and
Still a big deal, though.
15 athletic trainers and strength coaches.
It's a big deal.
So it's important. It's important work.
Well, it's stuff we take for granted. Like, I wouldn't have thought about seeing a physical therapist, but it's evolved over time.
Sure.
I got out in 92. So like we weren't talking about that stuff, but so you extended people's careers who were trying to stay in the field or be elite rangers or
that was
whatever.
The goal, was human performance optimization. And yeah, we did some rehabilitation also, but really it was trying to get folks to perform at their utmost capability. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now you got stationed here. How many years did you have here?
We came here in 2019 and I just retired did about 3 years plus.
When did you guys decide this is the place we want to stay?
Back in the year 2000.
Oh, really? This was all planned.
When I started with the military, I've been asking to come to Colorado for my entire career.
Really?
Well, I'm originally from Utah.
Okay.
And my first duty station, they sent me to Washington, which was great. And then for physical therapy school, I was in Texas, which was great. San Antonio was a fantastic city.
Mm-hmm.
I asked to come to Colorado Springs, and they said, no, you're going to Georgia. Ooh, I was mad.
I've spent some time in Georgia. It's a bit hot and muggy and buggy.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
Because I'd already been there before to learn how to jump out of airplanes, and that place was just a dump of a city. and they said, no,
sorry,
going
Georgia.
There. The redeeming quality of it is this. Once I got there and got my kids in school and saw how that city, Columbus, Georgia, had turned themselves around, we actually considered exiting the military and staying there in Georgia.
Wow.
I still have a house there in Georgia that we rent out.
Cool.
Because it's surprising. It's a little bit of a sleeper of a town, but they turned it around. Their downtown, they renamed Uptown.
Okay.
They built this nice walk along the Chattahoochee River, that dirty water, never knew how much it meant to me. It's fantastic. It's a great little spot to live. Nice. And the schools are, the schools that my kids were in were fantastic. So we asked the Army to stay there. They left us there for 5 years.
Wow.
So that was a good time. It was there that I kind of started my entrepreneurial journey. Because I was getting an opportunity to work with soldiers on base, but my wife and I joined a CrossFit gym back in 2012.
It must have just getting started.
Yeah, a lot of folks were kind of getting started back then. And I had already recognized that in the world of physical therapy, to be perfectly honest and knock my own profession a little bit, we under-exercise people. We undertax the tissues of the body, and we don't progress people fast enough in their exercise and the stress that their body is actually capable of handling. Of course, we don't want to flare people up. Of course, we don't want to overdo it. But gosh, there's a lot of underdoing it that's happening. And so once I joined this CrossFit gym, and when people read that I have a CrossFit Level 1 and Level 2 certification, sometimes that's a bit of a detriment than it is a help to people, because they're like,
it scares them away.
It scares them away. Well,
yeah,
because I'll admit, in the CrossFit world, we do some stupid stuff. If you're not with somebody, that
I'm
knows
not
what they're
doing
doing.
muscle ups, man. Why do I need to do a muscle up?
If the analogy is always this, if you're being chased by a bear, you got to climb up a tree branch.
Okay.
But now bears can climb trees, so I don't know what that does for you. But bottom line is, I really started to recognize I have a lot to offer people that is not happening in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I had lots of people from the gym asking me to come in and hey, can I see you? Can I come to your house? Can you check me out here at the gym? And yeah, I love helping people and volunteering and that type of, that started taking a lot of time.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a buddy that had exited the military. He went up to Atlanta, became a top-rated physical therapist within a year on Yelp, back when Yelp was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, gosh, I wonder if I can do that. He talked to me and he's like, Nate, you need to get out and just run a clinic in Georgia. I was like, I don't know if I want to get out of the military. So anyway,
you're so close.
I mean, by then I had 13 years in.
Yeah, so you're past the 10-year mark.
So I decided to open an LLC and just see people on nights and weekends. And the CrossFit gym cleared out this broom closet for me.
That's what you did.
I set up a table in there and people started coming to see me. Now, I was out of network, meaning I didn't take insurance.
Cash for care.
Cash for care.
Right.
And we can talk more about that because it's pertinent to my business model. But the bottom line is people were coming to see me and they were spending probably about as much for me, minute for minute, spending about as much with me as they would have spent with their co-pays and other insurance obligations anyway, and getting better results.
Right.
And so it's that's kind of how that started. Is I just started out of this broom closet.
I had something similar, but I didn't turn it into a business. I can relate to what you mean by you wanted to give it away. Like, so you were in the barracks. So you've seen barracks.
Yeah.
I was the barracks barber.
Yeah, you were.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like they would be knocking on my barracks door at like 7 a.m. on Saturdays. At first you start out, I'm going to hook you up. And next there's a line of guys. And, I'm like, back then I was charging $7 a haircut. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? This is not enough money. I'm working from 7 a.m. on Saturday until 4. Yeah. Like, it was fun though.
You get your $35.
Yeah, that was it. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah. But that's really cool that you turned that into something. So, all right. So you get to Colorado, you decide you're going to stay here.
Yeah.
And your whole dream you had from 2000, 20 years later has come to fruition. You're in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Happy with that decision?
Oh, very happy. I mean, we lived in Washington, Texas, Georgia, Florida, New York, and Colorado. And out of all those places, the two that really kind of percolated to the top were Colorado and Florida.
Okay.
So someday in Florida, the Panhandle, we're going to own a little something to, visit there frequently. But those were our two favorite places.
Okay.
Sure. But I do have to say, we kind of did well everywhere that we lived. And I kind of give my wife props for that, just making it a home, and making it a good place and meeting people and establishing relationships. And so it's been kind of a hard decision to exit the military and say, this is going to be the next place for, I don't know, the next decade.
Yeah.
That's
because you're used to the move. Like you're used to everything's on a timer.
Yeah, exactly. So,
this is all new to you. So it's been what, 2 years?
Well, we got here in 19, so we've been in Colorado Springs going on 4 years.
Going on 4 years, but you've only been out for like a year.
I've only been not even.
Yeah, you're still you've got another 5 years before you're really acclimated to being a civilian.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and I don't think I ever will for sure.
I haven't seen you show up to BNI in patent leathers.
No,
my uncle was a colonel. He was West Point. He went to Vietnam as a lieutenant. Like that guy had on patent leathers at church like
all the time.
20 years after he was out. Like
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, it just is what it is, you know?
I have found myself buying things that are green.
Yeah.
To wear. Other than that,
well, the world needs more soldiers like you, man. That does 20 like that. Actually loves it and makes a career out of it and helps the soldiers. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's talk about, I got a few questions here.
Yeah.
how did you get started with your physio room? So Nate's business is called Physio Room. He's
Yeah.
a physical therapist. I'm still getting to know him, so I don't have all the details. If you want to check out the website and you're in pain at home right now, you can go to physioroomco.com. That's physioroomco.com, and you can read up on the entire business. So the first question, once again, how did you get started with your business?
So I'm involved in this group that helps physical therapists learn how to be their own boss.
Okay.
And essentially how to be out of network or cash for care physical therapist.
So not working at a hospital.
Not at a hospital or even an outpatient clinic, but having your own clinic where you get to determine how long you treat the patients and it's not dictated by insurance. What kind of treatments you can do with the patients that's not dictated by insurance, and how long you can see the patient, also not dictated by insurance, because all of those three things are controlled by the insurance model.
And let me summarize. So, like, are you saying if you work for a hospital,
Yeah,
and you're the physical therapist,
yep,
and they send you somebody, it's always on a timer. Like,
oh,
this
yeah,
is the thing. You've got this much time.
yes,
Keep them coming and going.
oh yeah.
And you didn't
We
like the
call
way
it-
that made you feel. Like you wanted to be able to do more for people.
We call it puppy mill,
The puppy mill.
and no one's happy in a puppy mill, right?
No,
So
except the people going to rescue the two, like we did.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's right. So it's we're kind of releasing ourselves and ultimately releasing our patients from that thumb.
gotcha.
Right? And guys, I'm not here to say that the insurance is the bad guy, but it's the way that the model is developed over the past several decades that is not the best for the patient and not the best for the practitioner either. So anyway, part of this group, we meet together quarterly, once online and once in person, and it'll be somewhere around the country. So anyway, as part of this network, I know 200 to 300 other therapists that have done this kind of thing.
Right.
And I've done it since 2012 part-time. But I decided as I exit the military, I want to take this full-time and help as many people as I can. And as part of this group, I met the owner of Physio Room, right? Here's Physio Room.
Physio Room.
They're out of Denver. They have 2 clinics up there. And as I talked with them and we got to know each other, I was just thought, man, this group has the same values that I have, has similar goals to what I have. I want to eventually build a team of individuals that are of this same mindset, and they have this team, And so as I talked with them, owner's name is Chris, and his right-hand man is named Andrew. So as I talked with Chris and Andrew, I was like, I think I know that you guys have some things to offer me. I think I've got some things that I could offer you. Maybe we should team up. And they were already interested in expanding up over into Parker, maybe some other areas in Denver.
Yeah.
But I mentioned, why don't I start down here in Colorado Springs? So they have lent me all kinds of business expertise, structure, set me up that way. And then they made me their director of education and director of leadership.
Yeah.
And they expect me to bring my expertise from the military as well as my education. We haven't really talked about my education, but just to make a synopsis, I guess I'm one of the most educated physical therapists in the country. I have 2 doctorate degrees, 2 board certifications, and 2 fellowships. And that puts me in the top 0.5% of physical therapists in this country as far as education is concerned.
We've got this guy in the room, guys.
So, I mean, no one else cares about that except for the rest of the 0.5% of physical therapists. But bottom line is they thought I could offer some education things for their staff.
You can attract more doctors with that education.
So we've already, and they said, hey, part of this is recruiting talent to help us out. And we've already done
They just want proximity to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's so far it's been a very good symbiotic relationship. I think we'll solidify that over the coming years.
Yeah.
And I've started off slow. For instance, right now I practice out of my house. We talked about getting a loan and getting a building and we just decided, no, we're going to do slow growth. It's happening fast, but we're doing slow growth. And once we reach a certain threshold, then we know it's time to rent a space and open up and, have an official grand opening and all that stuff.
Nice.
So
Good for you.
So that's how we decided to start off and how Physio Room came to be. I used to be a different business of my own, LLC, but I've kind of let that go, and I'm with Physio Room now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. Let's
Yeah,
go to
sure.
the second question.
Yeah.
When you first started, this question isn't very well written. It says, what challenges did you face and overcome? But it's like, what was the biggest challenge that you had to face when you started? I think it's an easier way to just point the question.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, that's one of the reasons I joined Physio Room, is to overcome some of these challenges. One was I'm new to Colorado Springs. Like when we bring on people to train them how to open their own business, people kind of separate into two different groups. One is people that have lived in their area for a long time, and two are other people that are new to an area. Those that have lived in an area for a long time already have kind of a network and relationships, and they can get started pretty well. Those that don't, i.e. me, they have to establish that stuff. And so one of the challenges I faced was establishing a network, getting out and meeting people.
Yeah.
And so that's where Chris, he came down from Denver. He's come down a few times actually. And we do a little side-by-side ride, and we'll have some businesses that we've actually scheduled, but others where we just pop in. I'm surprised we haven't popped in to see you and just say, hey, we're Physio Room. These are some things that we offer and some things that we can do to help your business. That's typically what we're pitching, is how we can help other businesses.
That's amazing.
And so that's kind of how that started off. And then I joined a few networking groups, to include Business Networking International. And so that's kind of helped me overcome that challenge of, I don't have a network yet. I don't have connections yet, So, yeah.
It's so great. Like, there are people to hear this from a guy. So this guy's done 20 years in the military. He's got 2 doctorates, I can't even remember all the stuff he's educated with. But when it comes down to building a business, he's still willing to go door to door to build his network, which, the universe will test you on how much you really want this business, right?
Oh, yeah.
You want to sit there and we can run Google ads. You can spend money. You can do all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that right there is like, I just gained like hella respect. That's bow down respect. Get up off your butt and go knock on some door. I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that they want to build something.
Yeah.
This is hard-earned knowledge, guys. This is why the podcast is called this. Like, this guy here, it's not me just preaching like everybody's tired of hearing, but like Nate, 2 doctorates, and he's like, hey, I got to get a bigger network. I'm going to go out and knock on doors and say hi to people, be kind to them, and try and build my network.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. I love that. That was a challenge you had to overcome. So join a Physio Room. Were they in BNI already up north?
Oh, that's how I learned of BNI.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember when you came
up there, and they said, and as I came on board, I mean, they were just ticking off the things that I need to do. One of which is get out and visit businesses.
Right.
Another one is join a BNI group. And I'm kind of like, what's BNI?
Right. Yeah.
And so
I remember when we first talked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to one group, and most people will visit multiples and decide where to go. I just went to one and said, okay, I'm supposed to be in a group.
We put a lot of pressure on you. Man, every time you said something, you told me I'm going to go visit. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. You're joining. Look at all these people in this room.
I told you from the beginning. I was the easiest commit you ever had.
Right on. You did say that. I do think he actually said that word for word. So what he's saying in so many words is you identified the challenge was he was getting out of the military here, didn't have a big network. You cannot grow a big business without building that network. You can do it with zero network.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely doable, but you've got to identify that this is important.
Yeah. And
how we're going to solve this actual issue here. So kudos to you for that. People pick that up, write that down, work on your network. So next question. I asked you this earlier, but we'll go back to it. What is your favorite self-improvement book? Because I believe I learned this late in life. I'm definitely not as educated as you by a long shot. I'm like the reverse of everything you did. So all my knowledge is hard-earned knowledge. I was hard-headed.
Yeah.
But I have learned that reading books opens the mind to new opportunities and new growth strategies and things.
Yeah.
I like to read and apply.
Yeah.
I don't like reading just to read it and say I read the book, but I'm like, what can I get out of this book that I can use next month? So I'll shut up. What's your favorite self-help book?
Well, I should just caveat that I am a pro at gathering information and analyzing and trying and not taking the next.
Okay.
Right.
But you got all the degrees
So-
for it to show for it.
Well, that's incrementally happened. I'm trying to be better about getting the knowledge and then applying something from it.
Right,
I
right.
had a friend say, "Hey, would you be better off reading 1,000 books and doing nothing, or reading one book and doing what it says?"
That's a good
And
question.
that's
Yeah.
probably better off doing the one book. But two books that have influenced me. One is, and everybody's heard of it, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Hang on, my pen stopped
Yeah, no
writing.
problem. Here's one.
Great.
Okay. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey.
Right.
I actually met Stephen Covey a couple of times. When I was in ROTC, we decided to give this Freedom Award each year, and one year we selected him, and I got to MC the ceremony, so I got to meet him.
Nice.
And, but that
They
book,
weren't doing selfies back then.
No, we had the little disposable cameras.
Right. That's what I had in our rack.
That's what-
The little
yeah.
boxes. The little,
Yeah, stuff like that.
What's the next one?
Well, let me tell you about 7 Habits.
Oh, go
real
ahead.
quick. So, I read that in college, and it gives you 7 things that you should do to be effective. The thing that I like about that book is that each one of those steps is it's actionable. And in the book, he lists some things that you can do to demonstrate that habit.
Mhm.
Right? Of course, the last one is sharpen the saw, which is keep all your skills fresh. I've kind of taken that one to heart. I feel like I've done that, at least academically, in my career. So 7 Habits, definitely one that if you don't read the book, at least get the Cliff Notes or read the Wikipedia summary
Audible.
or whatever. Audible's great.
Yeah.
Audible's great. Second book, and this one is great for business owners as well as dads or parents or whatever. And that is the obstacle is the way. The
Obstacle is the way.
Brian Halliday, I guess, is the author. All it is about Marcus Aurelius, was emperor, and he essentially wrote a series of essays that said, "I am the reason for my results. I am responsible for what has happened." And he always puts it back on himself. It's in stoicism,
Mhm.
And in business, it's the worst mirror, man, because you look into it and you can look back. If you sit there in business and you blame everyone else or everything else for why you're not being successful, you're not going to be able to overcome that. But-
It's too much. It's
Yeah.
always going to be something
It's
else,
always
right?
something. Yeah. I mean, the easiest one is the economy, right? Or
Yes.
whatever. So, or it's the government, or it's or one for me as a physical therapist. Oh, these patients just don't know what they want.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? I mean, all kinds of excuses that you can come up
Yes.
with. But when you really reflect, and Marcus Aurelius does a fantastic job of doing this to you, helping you reflect on yourself. You know what? I could have done this better. I am the reason why this patient didn't buy a treatment package from me is because I failed to let them know or to educate them on how this is going to benefit them.
Yes.
And instead of blaming the patient for not understanding or for being dumb or whatever, I have to.
You talk too
I have to-
fast. Maybe
Yeah.
you went too fast with the.
There are lots of reasons.
Yeah,
And
there's
that-
tons of reasons. Like they didn't feel comfortable. You got to the close too quick.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't build enough value.
they
There's
didn't see
always
they
a
didn't see
reason.
the value. They didn't
Mhm.
see the value, or I failed.
You
I
didn't
failed
deliver the
to-
value proposition. There's
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I actually have Marcus Aurelius books over there, the
Oh, nice.
Stoicism one.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't think it's called Stoicism. It's you know which one I'm talking about. But I haven't gotten all the way through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I hope people
sure.
are picking up on that one too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So great. I got those written down. I'm going to check those out. Let's go to the
Okay.
next one. All right. What do you love most about being an entrepreneur?
I mean, the best part is autonomy. I get to determine my schedule. Now, unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, we turn our 40-hour weeks into 60-hour weeks. But, more often than not, I get to drive my kid to school when it's my turn for carpool.
Yeah.
I made it to every one of my kids' track meets this year.
Yeah.
That never happened in the military.
In the military, it's tough.
There towards the end of my career, some commands were getting pretty good about that stuff,
Yeah.
letting us go, but for a majority of my career, no, I missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so this, anyway, made all of his track meets. So I like the autonomy that comes from it. And part of that is it's not just the time thing. It's not being dictated to me by somebody else what I have to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so coming out of the military after 23 years,
That's
that
like
feels pretty good.
reversed.
That feels pretty good.
Completely reversed.
But the flip side of that is you might be your own worst taskmaster. So
you learned a lot in the military, a lot of good things too.
Yeah, sure.
That structure is amazing.
Oh, I love it.
Getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock, like
my son is in ROTC and he's going to go into the Army.
Okay.
My son-in-law just finished his time in the Army. We're a little bit of an Army family.
Yeah.
And but the structures, my son needs it. He loves it. I loved it. And now I've experienced that enough that I can apply it how I want to my business.
I kind of wish that the country would it's not possible, but like you have to do 2 years of
mandatory service.
Yeah, like
lots of countries do it.
I know, but like it's but I think like, so for me, it saved my life because nobody could tell me anything at 17. I knew more than my dad and my mom, and I wouldn't listen anymore.
But drill sergeant could tell you.
And but here's the other thing about it. Even though I knew it all and you couldn't tell me anything, my mom was still doing my laundry, cooking all my meals, cooking all my meals, paying gas for the car, everything. And that stopped immediately in the military.
Yeah.
I remember going to that first washing machine and I'm like, oh my goodness.
How do I do this?
I had used one, but still dang, I gotta iron my, like after you do 4 years of that, it's, it sticks, So I really enjoyed that structure.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I think everyone should know what it's like to get yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should know what it's like to work out their body really hard to the point of complete exhaustion.
Yes.
Everyone should feel that sometime.
Yeah.
And I do occasionally have patients that come in that have not pushed their bodies like that before.
To those limits.
And it's it can be hard because you really
the brain
need to,
doesn't know.
Yeah, you need to understand what things feel like, what's injury versus it's just a little bit sore, that type of thing. So firm believer that people should experience a little bit of hardship, and so is Marcus Aurelius. He believed that too.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. I like that to finish up this question about what's your favorite thing about an entrepreneur, I like that he didn't say money for you people watching. He didn't say my favorite thing is making a lot of money. I don't think I've talked to one entrepreneur that said that.
Yeah.
But like, I love that. I'm pretty similar. Like I like going to the basketball practice. We've been texting all day. My daughter's at school. This kid needs to ride with us. This. Well, that's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to worry about that boss going, oh, wait, you got to finish that report before you go get those kids. No, I'm going to get the kids.
Yeah.
Like we're going to basketball practice. We're going to be on time. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So I love that you didn't say it's all about the money.
Money's important.
Yeah.
It's how you live life. The question that we always get asked, when I go to these entrepreneur trainings is like, okay, here you go, $10 million. It's yours. Now what do you do? Now what are you going to do with your time?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not answering that you would do what you're already doing, then you probably need to take a step back and look a little bit different,
Yeah.
And hey, there are some challenges with physical therapy. And if I were in a traditional clinic seeing somewhere between 15 and 20 patients a day, I would take the $10 million and, I'd be gone.
Yeah.
But if I'm with Physio Room, where I see a patient for between 50 and 60 minutes, and I see 5 or 6 of those a day,
You're getting results.
I'm getting awesome results. They're spending about 4 times as much time with me as they would with their traditional physical therapy clinic. And really one of my ultimate goals is to mentor other therapists how to do that. Yeah, I do that without getting paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
That's the joy. One of the best things, my wife and I were watching, this was a couple of years ago, but watching The Dog Whisperer together. I don't know if you've ever seen Cesar Millan.
I've heard of him. Yeah, I've seen him on Facebook. Yeah.
So he does he has these TV shows. He does awesome things with dogs, especially problematic dogs,
Mhm.
and he's really into dog psychology. So anyway, he'll walk into a room with maybe a vicious type of dog, or really ill-mannered type of dog, and within a couple of minutes, he just has that dog like,
Wow.
just like this. And what I noticed is what the owners, the dog owner, would look at the dog and then look at Cesar and then look at each other, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I remember turning to Jill and I said, "That's the look. That's the look that I love when my patients have it.
Like they didn't
When
think they
they
could
get
release
off,
this pain or
when they
whatever.
get off the table and they're like, what? That's that I
That's
live
what
for
gets
that.
you up in the
It gets me
morning.
going, man. I love
Yeah.
it. Yep.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of an open question, but tell us about your favorite success story. It could be business, it could be your best patient, whatever you like to share.
So I had a patient back when I first started in Georgia, that really taught me. I mean, I learned so much from her, that applied to physical therapy, yes, but to business.
Mm-hmm.
And she was seeing me for some hip pain. We did several things to help her with her hip pain, including some dry needling. So I would say I'm one of the foremost experts in this country on dry needling. That's what I largely teach that to physical therapists, chiropractors, MDs, dentists, athletic trainers throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did that on her hip. She was getting good results. But we also had an acquaintance in our gym that was an orthopedic surgeon, and we were treating her for her hip. And I said at one point, I said, "Hey, let's see what the orthopedic surgeon has to say."
Mm-hmm.
So she went and saw him. She got her MRI, all that stuff, and he said, "Look, this is non-surgical issue. You're working with Nate, right?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm working with Nate." He's like, "Let's just keep doing that. It seems to be working."
Mm-hmm.
Well, traditional physical therapy is you see people for 8 to 12 weeks and then you discharge them. That's the model. That's what insurance is going to pay for. That's what you do. And you do
Okay.
these specific types of treatments.
Is that because they think it's not going to work after that much time? It's like, this is working or not.
Well, the, they cookie cut it. It's like a cookie cutter. Everybody fits this mold, and that's just not everybody fits that.
But that's all they're going to pay for.
That's pretty. There's some exceptions, but yes.
Okay.
So, and they, for instance, insurance does not pay for treatments like dry needling, right?
Sure.
They say, well, the science behind it is sketchy, which is not, but they claim that it is. So
Right.
anyway, so I worked with her for about 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And me in my traditional therapy mindset, I'm thinking, it's about time that she's doing things on her own. And so I started to help her. She would see me once a week, but after a while, she was doing pretty well, and she would just come in once every few weeks, maybe once a month.
Yeah.
But after we did that for about 6 months, I'm still starting to feel this physical therapy guilt. Like I need to get this patient off of my books. So I brought her in and talked to her and said, "Hey," her name's Anna. I said, "Hey, Anna, we got to get you doing this stuff on your own."
Yeah.
And she had the typical response when you have to have that conversation. We call it the talk in physical therapy, right? Like the breakup.
Oh.
And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to see me anymore?"
Right.
It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, I should have educated you to this point where you can manage things on your own. And after a minute, she kind of said, "Nate, I kind of don't understand what the problem is, because I started seeing you for my hip. I've gone off all of the medications that I was taking for my hip problem." And she'd had a lip problem also that we solved.
Wow.
Anyway, and she's like, "I stopped taking medications for my lip and for my hip. I've been to see the orthopedic surgeon. He says that I should just work with you. And really, I'm only coming in like once a month."
Yeah.
She said, "Isn't it better for me to just come and see you once a month than it is for me to be taking all these medications and pursuing surgery and that type of thing?"
Wow.
And
Is that an
I'm
aha
like,
moment for you? Like
"Oh,
you didn't
yeah."
realize that she had released all this medication and everything.
No, I knew that she'd done those things. I was stuck in my little world of confined physical therapy intervention. And she helped me open up my eyes, say, "Wow,
I think my eyes are open up to what you're saying. Like
there's-
this can continue.
this doesn't need to be a 12 weeks and done."
Mm-hmm.
We are absolutely. So what you'll find is, most physicians and other healthcare practitioners are going to tell you, "Look, I don't know a lot about musculoskeletal stuff, the arms and the legs and that thing. we probably just need to refer you to physical therapy. They'll defer to physical therapy as the musculoskeletal experts. What we have failed to do as a profession, and what I'm trying to do now, is establish myself as that expert that should be the one that sees you, not just when you're injured, but prior to an injury, or even when the little aches and pains come up.
Prior to surgery.
Oh, absolutely, prior to surgery. So one thing I will tell you, Physio Room, telling the whole world, the internet, we are your non-surgical option.
Okay, that's great to put out there.
That's a non-surgical option. Now, can we see you after your surgery? Absolutely. Can we get you? I have a patient now. We are getting her ready for surgery.
Okay.
She's a good candidate for surgery. She needs some good prehab.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing. But I can't. Multiple patients that I've kept off of the surgical table.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say but we, the patient and I together, have kept them off of the surgical table.
I like it.
That's not every most surgeries are elective. When we went through the pandemic, what did they canceled?
They canceled the elective surgeries.
They cancel all elective surgeries. Guess what? That's knee replacements, shoulder replacements, hip replacements.
So people are going to PT.
Elective. Those are elective things. What does that mean? There might be some things that you should try first, because surgery, and we're doing better in this country about understanding that surgery doesn't get you back to 100%. In some cases it does, but most cases you're looking for an 80 to 90%.
You're not anti-surgery. You're just
no,
hey,
not at all.
Why are you so anti-physical therapy? It's like, let's check it out.
Let's let your body do its thing first.
Mm-hmm.
And if we've exhausted that, especially with somebody that knows what they're doing, then sure, let's collaborate and get you to the right surgery after. And anyway, we talked way too long about that, but that was a success story with Anna that really opened up my eyes to what I could be doing to help a lot more people. And it's more than just the 8 to 12 weeks and done. Obviously, by the end of 8 to 12 weeks, I want you back to doing what you came to see me to do. But if there are lingering issues, if there are additional things I can help you out with, and we just keep you maintained performance optimization rather than rehabilitation, let's do that.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how much time we have. We got time. So the next question, as an entrepreneur, we like to think that this is a chess game. So what are your next 5 moves? Do you have those planned out, or?
Yeah, I think so.
5 next moves as a business owner.
Well, I told you I'm practicing out of my house right now.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful setup. I've got a treatment room in the guest room when somebody first walks in. And then in the garage, I call it the magic place.
Okay.
I've got my garage clinic with the weight rack and all kinds of other apparatuses that we can use for rehab. It's really fun. But the eventual goal is, and I'll tell you what the eventual goal is so that the steps make sense. The next 5 steps. Like I told you, I have way too much education. And one of my skill sets is training other physical therapists.
Yeah.
So what I would love to do is every year bring in 2 new fellows for training, those that have been in physical therapy for a while and they want to advance their training, and maybe 2 students from physical therapy programs, because they have to go through their internships.
Right.
And the important part of this is when physical therapists go through fellowship training or they go as students through their internships, those are non-paid gigs.
Okay.
In fact, the physical therapy students, they pay to be there.
So they really have to want it.
They have to really want it. I have a dream where those 2 fellows each year and 2 students each year can come in and they can be paid for their work.
Wow.
I think that's what the model should be. Now, of course, it's going to be like when a doc goes through residency. They're not going to get paid doctors' wages.
But at least it's worth their time.
At least they're going to get paid a little something. And that's what I'd like to do for these individuals. And what that will do is ensure that I get the best candidates for fellowship training and for internships, and provide awesome training for them, great care for our patients that are coming through. And so we've got an education and a treatment model that works for everybody.
That's a good plan.
That's where I want to be 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Right? I think it can be done in 5. So Next step, from my house, once I reach a certain threshold of patients, we go and we rent out a space.
Get an office.
An office. I honestly, I would love. I've saved up a little bit of money from my time in the military. I would love to buy a building, right, and take up a quarter of it, and then rent out the rest of it, maybe to health and wellness, other health and wellness professionals.
Synergy. Yeah,
I'd love
that'd be fantastic.
I would love it. So that's step number one, is get into a building, either rent or buy. Then step number two is, and maybe even simultaneously, is hire my marketer and front office staff. I've got an individual in mind for that already, because I'm planning on making this move in the next probably 6 months.
Oh, good for you.
And then very soon after that, hire my next therapist. And once we have office manager and marketer, my next therapist, and me, that's going to be a pretty good team to get things started to build. Maybe we even within a year, we can bring on a student at that point, so that's step number 4. So step number 1 is building. 2 is our marketer. Step 3 is
our therapist. And then the next one is student.
Well, maybe that's 3B.
3B.
Step 4. Yeah. Okay. I mean, 4 is step into a mentorship role.
Mentorship role.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 5 would be bringing on those students and fellows and that type of thing. Yeah. So
I like it. You got to put this on the wall, and then start checking it off.
That's right.
Yeah.
Little checklist.
I like it, man. That's great. Like, so you've done all this stuff. I mean, I feel like I always feel in awe around you at BNI or wherever else, because you've done so much. Like, I'm telling you guys, go read his bio. It's crazy. Do you have a book written yet?
So no, but that needs to happen, doesn't it?
I was expecting you to say 3 or 4. Of course.
So when you read in my bio that we've run a few peer-reviewed articles.
Yeah. Can you explain what that is, like, for us lay people?
Yeah. So whenever you do research, like real research, first of all, you need to get the research approved by a certain hospital board or government body. And then you run the research, which is it's way harder than you think.
It's not just Googling
it. No. Like when we do a randomized controlled trial, you apply a certain treatment option to one set of patients, and then there's certain, and you have to keep all kinds of, they call it records, blinded, and you keep records, and following up with those people is very, very hard. And if they fall out of the study, that's
the data is no longer usable.
Oh, it's a big deal. So you run through all that, and then when you get done with gathering the data, you have to write it up and you submit it to, they say, like, peer reviewed. So you submit it to other either physical therapists or physicians that review what you've written. And oh my gosh, it's almost personal, man.
Oh yeah, after all that work and you put it out there.
Oh no, that's but what I'm saying is their review of you is almost like personal attacks. Like, how could you be so stupid? This is this doesn't make sense. So that's why peer review is important, because you get scrutinized heavily, and what that does is prevents you from putting out crap. Right?
Oh, misinformation.
Yeah. So then we go through peer review, and then finally gets approved for publishing. And I've been involved in a number of those.
Wow,
studies. So
that's pretty cool.
It's and I've been lead author on just a couple of them. So all very challenging, very rewarding, but that's going to have to count for my book right now.
Right now,
yeah.
I'm sure the book will be coming.
I would like for a book to be much more interesting of a read.
Well, maybe after you get this all put together, you write a book on this journey.
That's right.
It
could be fun.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Bad. Yeah.
Well, we've got a few minutes left. If you have a question or two, or if you want to chat about something else.
So, I look up to you as a businessman that's been in. You've been doing business for a while.
Yeah.
And so, really, the main thing I would like to hear from you is, number one, your greatest challenge getting started, and maybe you've mentioned this before on your podcast, but number 2 would be, what is one of your success stories?
So the greatest challenge, I think, nobody's asked me this. And then when I wrote these questions, I was thinking about what would I ask other people.
Yeah. Well, hey, it doesn't even have to be your greatest challenge, so don't get shell shocked. Just what is a challenge that?
That's a good one. I mean, that's a good question. My greatest challenge, like, I think that just hearing you talk about, like, identifying the network, like, is amazing to me because I didn't realize it for like 10 years. I was in business from 2000 to 2007 before I joined a BNI group.
Oh, okay.
I
Before
did.
you started networking for
I
that.
didn't even, I mean, I didn't even join a networking group until 7 years in.
Yeah.
And I'd heard about it. I'd been around the town, and this town, it was different though. There was a lot less options, So
Sure.
a challenge, I would say, my biggest challenge is go back to your Marcus Aurelius is myself, like figuring out what you said is true. Like, what can I do better to help the people around me instead of always blaming, well, this person can never do this. Okay, well, why couldn't you be effective?
Yeah.
Training that person and then
sure.
improving a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
I can get a little bit better
Yeah.
at my communication skills, right? And I would say my biggest challenge has been myself
Okay.
and how uneducated I was starting this whole thing.
Yeah.
And having to learn it by trial and error, and then thinking you know it when you really should just keep an open mind to whatever is available. And maybe the answer is and.
Yeah.
Instead of no, it's my way, or it doesn't have to be or, it could be and.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest challenge, if I had to sum it up, would be myself.
Yeah.
My uneducated, stupid self that didn't know what I didn't know. And now looking back on it, it's all right there on the screen. It's all hard-earned knowledge.
So I'd have to sum that up with, if you want to be in business, start a business, get ready to look at yourself, because that's in order to be successful, that has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people think I'm successful. I mean, it depends on how you manage or how you what is it? How do you grade success? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I thank you. It's like for me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm happy.
Mhm.
I think I get stuff done. I think things happen. I think it's never enough. I think I need to do more. So
Yeah.
And then I read your bio and I'm like, man, I'm not doing anything.
No, we put your bio together. It's going to look awesome.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll work on it. And so what was the other question?
Your greatest success, or one of your successes?
I think my greatest success to date in my business is actually building a successful team. Like, they are actually, like, we're all looking at, like, Bonnie's been here 5 years, Christy 6 years, Judy 13 years.
Yeah.
Marcus 2 years. Like, people are getting longevity now.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're talking about, how they can potentially earn equity in the company as we move on. Like, I want to do those things.
Yeah.
And so figuring those little pieces out and adding more people to the team, not just to make me money, but like to help grow the entire brand and the company, I would say is my biggest success. Now, I can't take all the credit for that. It's the team.
Oh, sure.
It's the team.
But you built it, man. You started it.
Yeah, but I think a lot of them make me better.
So here's the deal. When you look at that mirror, reflect on all the things you need to improve, you also got to look at, I did that.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Yeah, I guess I could say that one day. They give me a lot of hassle for that. They're like, I'm valuable. I'm like, okay. Bonnie's done that to me. Like, you're valuable. We should be teaching and stuff. I'm like, okay. But it's harder for me to swallow because I just do it every day.
Yeah.
I just go do it. It's like, let's get it done.
So when I bring in a patient and they want to know what's wrong with their body, I actually have this app that will dive all the way, 3D into the body.
Whoa.
And for me, it's just like, that's up here already. Like, I understand, rotator cuff tear. I know what that looks like. I forget they don't know what that looks like.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I pull up this app and I peel away the skin,
yeah,
and then we peel away the fascia, and you start to see the muscles. And then I zoom in at the supraspinatus. And by the way, this app has a little thing where I can create a tear in it. Right. So I can show them what that tear looks like.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden they're like, oh,
this is why this
is
working.
What my rotator cuff is. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So let's show them what it is.
Yeah.
And then we discuss how we're going to rehab that and how the rehab is going to affect that tear, help it heal, and then get them stronger. So that muscle, not only does the tear heal, but the muscle gets bigger and stronger and all that kind of thing. You forget how much your clients don't know,
It's amazing. Yeah, and you're right.
So it's okay to tell them, even though you've thought it and heard it and said it 1,000 times, tell somebody else.
That's a good one, though. I've learned too. It's like, it's more important, which is a daily struggle. I can't say that I have mastered this. If I have a lifetime goal, this will be my lifelong goal to master this.
Yeah.
At least become a journeyman in it. It doesn't matter that I'm right.
Yeah.
I need to be effective.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you sit down, like you're like 10 minutes with me. Rotator cuff. You don't need to look at the app, Ronnie. I got this figured out. But for me, it's like, oh yeah, you want to get an SUV, your budget's X, and you want to do this, this, and this. We don't need to talk anymore. I got 5 options.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay that I'm right. I need to be effective and like, okay, well, let me show you why this is the right car.
Yeah.
Which I still struggle with because I already know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Oh, maybe we should link this in the show notes, the video of the woman with the nail in her forehead.
I don't remember that one.
Let's link it in the show.
Okay,
this
great.
is very good because she doesn't recognize that all you need to do is pull that down.
Just pull it out. I think I've heard that, but it's been a while. Yeah,
but it's all kinds of other excuses why she has a headache.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. And what about that nail right there?
Yeah. So you can see it as soon as you walk in. You're like, I can see the nail. I can see the car that they need. I can see.
Yes, you can see it.
It takes a while for them to come around and say, oh, okay, this is why I do such and such exercise for my rotator cuff. This is why I do such and such part of my rehab.
Yeah, I'm going to need to come and see you for this POSE thing. What's that acronym stand for? POSE?
So it's POSE just means pose. When you run, you strike a certain pose during every step of the run.
I'm sure I'm doing it wrong.
And there's you are. So there's the most efficient pose to be in. And here's the deal. If somebody's running fine, they don't have pain, they're rock stars or whatever. I try to meet people where they're at and just let them, do it. But if I can make somebody a little more efficient and especially reduce their risk of injury, let's get them into this pose position.
I'd like to do that.
And then we've got ways to train to kind of keep you there and figure it out.
So how does it work? Like, do I just set up an appointment? I come to the house, I wear my running gear.
So the easiest way, like if we were doing pose training with you.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the easiest thing is through our link on our website, you can just sign up for On My Schedule. Once you're signed up as a new patient, our front desk from Denver is going to call you.
Okay.
And get your information.
We'll go through it. I'll do it.
And okay. And they'll tell you what you need to wear and that type of thing. And then because I'm in a residential area, I do the added task of just establishing contact outside of that network, just regular text, so that if the patient needs any additional information, I can get that for them.
Okay.
And you can ask additional questions then also. So you've got, our front desk that you'll talk to, me that you'll talk to. We get you nice and comfy before you come
and
in.
Then I show up and we go through it.
And we go through it. Yeah.
I want to do that because I would like to, like, the weather's gotten warmer in the morning now.
And my daughter's
so my daughter's gonna, like, me and Matt have been going to the gym at like 5:12. Like, we're there early.
Yeah.
Because we get home, get changed, get the kids in the car, take them to school, which I, like you said, I enjoy that. Like, okay,
sure,
it's my duty to get her to school at 7:25.
Yeah, for sure.
But after they get out of school in a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, we don't need to be at the gym to 5:30, 5:45. So there's a lot of time to go for a 20-minute jog. I'm not talking about jogging.
No, but
but like 20 minutes,
2 miles.
right?
Let's get it in.
That's what I'd like to figure that out. So
sure,
I'd like to avoid injury. I usually have calf issues. Like, they constantly come back and bother me. I'm like, why is my calf pulling again? It's got to be this pose thing.
Pose thing is going to help you with that.
Okay, great. So I'll go on here once we log out of this, and I'll get set up and come and check out, and we'll do another one-on-one.
Yeah, let's do it. Sounds good.
So everybody, I hope you guys got a lot out of that. I know it's a long watch. Go back and listen to it. I know he's the smartest guy that you've ever met.
Nah.
We're going to give him, you're just going to have to own it, because we all are thinking the same thing. Right. Yes. Look in the mirror. Own it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ronnie. This has been awesome.
Yeah. And if you guys have any questions, you can always come back and put it in the comments, and we'll answer, or I'll get the questions to Nate and he can answer at a later date. But check out his website that I put in the comments, and think of something new. Instead of going to surgery, like if you think about going to surgery or something, check out Dr. Nate. Maybe he's got some better answers for you. Before that, I'm going to go check him out for running.
Well, let me just tell you real quick, surgery isn't the only thing. So if the person that's good for us, somebody that values their time, values the one body that they've got, and they value their activities, because if you value those things, we are the right fit for you. You're not going to get what you're looking for. If you've ever walked into a clinic before, and as soon as you walked in, you said, this place is not for me, then we're probably right for you.
My buddy, Mike Everson, if he ever watches these, he's in town.
Yeah.
This guy runs the incline every day. Runs it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like my age, but like he runs it at 4 a.m. he hasn't stopped. Like,
Yeah.
like every day in the winter during the pandemic, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So he would be a great introduction. So,
Yeah.
and they've got there's a whole culture of those guys here in town.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah. You could just plant an office at the incline.
At the base of the,
Yes.
actually at the top.
Oh, is that, yeah. The ones that get up here, yeah, you can be treated.
That's right.
So anyhow, guys, thanks for joining us as always. I hope you enjoyed this hard-earned knowledge that Nate dropped on us today. And let's wish him luck building his business and help him out in our town. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.